Okay, this morning I want to do a little experiment to show you a couple of things. One of them is we're always talking about, we want to weigh the flour versus we want to use measuring cups to get the flour with. And no matter how you cut it, it is not the same. Uh, it's not the same volume when you use a cup as opposed to using a measurement. Now, King Arthur flour says that basically a cup of flour is 120 grams of flour. And I remember when I was in home ec in school, they had us sift the flour, and then we would take a spoon and we would spoon the flour into the cup, and then we would take a knife and we would level the top of that off. Well, that would be a cup. So you'd have kind of a fluffy flour. But what most people do when they're making anything is they take their measuring cup and then they go in this flour and they just scoop out a cup of flour and they shake it down like that. So now I've got a nice level cup of flour. Let me show you what that cup of flour actually weighs. So we're going to turn it on and let it tare. And then I'm going to pour this in. So that's considered 1 cup the way most people measure. And notice how much flour it says. Of course, it's hard to read that scale, isn't it? It's 163 grams is what that's showing. And that was nothing more than scooped. I just scooped the flour up the way normal people scoop it up. So let's do that again. So I'm going to hit tare. We're going to go in here. We're going to grab another level. That's pretty close to level. And we're going to put it in. So that one was 164 grams of flour. So as you can see, if you're making a recipe that goes by cups, and you try to convert that recipe into grams, in a lot of cases, you're going to be very short of flour for the recipe. This particular bread that I'm making this morning calls for 3 3/4 cups of flour. And if you actually weigh that, it ends up being almost 5 cups of flour. So whoever wrote the recipe had been scooping up their flour out of the bag instead of weighing it. So just always be aware that there is a difference between scooping and weighing. Also keep in mind about the only way I know to say that what the measurement is for grams is I go by what King Arthur says. When you look it up online, everybody generally agrees about 120 grams is considered a cup. Now, I will, in another experiment, when I have somebody else to hold the camera for me, I will come back and scoop. I will sift it, then we'll take a spoon and we will spoon it into our cup, and then we'll put it in there and we'll see what the difference is. But I'll assure you it is still not 120 grams. So anyhow, just remember with it, when you're making a recipe and you're trying to convert the cups into grams or into a weight of volume, you're going to find that there's a considerable difference in the two of them. You'll have to adjust your recipe accordingly. Thanks. All I wanted to show you this morning.